Hello everyone, welcome to the first in a series of Project Cars 2 live streams. I'm Joe Barron, I'll be your host for this evening live from the London office of Slightly Mad Studios. I'm joined by Stephen, the game director for Project Cars 2, who's already in the hot seat. He's travelled all the way from South Africa to be here today to join us for the stream.
So hello Joe, hello viewers, welcome.
Stephen's got his racing driver excuses in early, he keeps telling me how tired he is. He's prepared.
Just a little bit of jet lag.
Yeah, the jet lag is a worthy excuse, I think, to get in early and to get that in early.
Well, and I'll do my best to stick to the road.
Yeah, if you stay on you see that stuff. Yeah, the black area there, the green stuff, stay off that. Yeah. We're live on Facebook, we're live on Twitch as well. We're going to be taking some of your questions from the chat. We're going to be mostly taking questions from Twitch, so if you're on Facebook and you want to get some questions to Stephen, head over to twitch.tv/projectcarsgame where we're watching the chat. And so today we're going to be talking mostly about controllers and handling. We're going to have a few different streams between now and Gamescom, and the idea is that we're going to be discussing different topics each time. So today is all about handling, it's all about controllers, it's about wheels as well, of course. You can see Stephen here with the Fanatec Club Sport V2. We've got V3 pedals just out of shot as well.
They're great pedals, by the way. They have little vibration motors in that we fully support, and this helps us to get even more tactile feedback from what the car is doing in addition to the regular force feedback.
I've already spotted somebody questioning whether we're playing with all the assists turned on. We're playing with authentic assists, which for those of you who are familiar with Project Cars 1, you'll remember the real assist setting. So essentially we're using whatever the real car has. So at the moment we're in the Ferrari LaFerrari, or Ferrari the Ferrari, as Stephen keeps liking to call it. And so the real car does have some ABS, it does have some traction control, so we are running with those on at the moment.
Yeah. And of course, you can, of course, just like as in the real car, you can turn them off. You can override the settings if you wish, but by default they'll be on when you drive within settings.
Yeah, and we'll be running through hopefully 3 or 4 different gameplay scenarios for you today. And you will see some cars that don't have assists, so we're going to get to some Rallycross later on. Some GT3 stuff as well, which obviously has slightly less assist than a road car like this. And we'll be taking some of your questions. Try to keep the questions mostly to the topic we're going to be talking about today, so handling and that kind of thing. There'll be plenty of opportunities over the next few weeks in different streams for you to ask more about cars or about tracks or all sorts of things. We won't keep it super strict to just handling, but we're going to try and do mostly handling for today. And we're glad as well that we got to announce Ferrari yesterday and show some of the cars in the trailer, because hopefully we won't just have a chat full of people saying where's Ferrari, because there's Ferrari on the stream in the LaFerrari to start with. And this is through Custom Race at the moment, and we're using steering wheel. Obviously you can see that. We're going to switch over to the controller later in the stream.
Yeah, so right now we're running a few laps here on Nürburgring, the sprint layout, and we're in a field of Class Road A cars. You can see the various different manufacturers on the road here. There's a beautiful McLaren in front of me. And I'm driving the Ferrari, and we're just having fun here, challenging some of the very well skilled AI.
We've already had a good question, which is very on topic, from Burnout28, who's asking, will the wheel be faster than the pad? I think what you're going to expect, I think as usual with most sim racing games, is the wheel will be the optimum way to play.
But not necessarily faster.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting, even harking back to the original Sims way back in the day, some of the fastest guys were playing with a joystick, because
now you're going really back in the day now.
You have really fast throws, so with the steering wheel you're playing it, even though it's by far the more optimum way of playing, because you're driving a car, and what more natural way is there to control a car than with a steering wheel? And paying attention so that you don't shift down to first and nearly spin the car out. But yeah, people who play with a gamepad will certainly, when they have, once they've practiced it, and just as with the steering wheel, given it a good bit of time, they can certainly not have to stand back to put in a good challenge to be on the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, we've made a lot of improvements, I think. I'm obviously biased, but we've made a lot of improvements to tyre model, to differential programming and other elements of the physics. And that has made the cars generally behave even more simulation-like than they were in Project Cars 1. So they're more intuitive, more predictable, easier to drive on the limit. But
probably the tyre model is, if we have to pick out one significant area where the improvements have made the biggest contribution to how the cars handle with a gamepad, It's in the fact that we've improved the simulation level of the gamepad, of the tires, so that one key area is the slip curve, right? The point of where when you push the tire beyond its limit. In other words, when it's not just rolling, but it's going sideways, the way that the grip changes when that chemical reaction happens because of the heat in the tire trying to rip off the tarmac and trying to hold on while it's busy ripping off, giving you a far more progressive slip curve, which means that when you're playing it with a gamepad, you do not have that very edgy feel anymore, where as soon as you go over the limit, it's knife edge and the chances of you catching it is next to zero. You actually can now just keep it there. You can just let it go and it'll just drift, and you can just bring it back naturally, and it just feels natural, and that's helped a significant amount.
We should stress as well the gamepad improvements, which you'll see later in the stream once we've moved on from the initial wheel stuff. We haven't dumbed it down, basically. We haven't done this level of simulation down to make it more playable with a controller. What we've done instead is enhanced the whole overall simulation level and improved the translation to the controller.
And that was a very important point for us. Is we wanted to make sure that we do not dumb down the physics fidelity and thereby giving gamepad players a lesser experience. We wanted the gamepad players to experience the full level of simulation if they wanted to. Obviously, they can turn on and off assist and all sorts of stuff, but if they wanted to experience the simulation to its maximum extent, it's not hidden from them. It's not dumbed down in any fashion. Our approach, rather, was to say, well, if you're in a real-world situation where you have a real car, you can't change real-life physics, and you've lost the steering wheel and replaced it with a gamepad, how would you make that work so that you could efficiently drive that vehicle? And then we took that mindset into the game and said, we're not changing this simulation physics that we've developed and spent so much time on. All we're changing is how you're controlling the car. And through that approach, we spent a lot of time on it, and we're at a place now where we certainly feel very confident in how the car's handled with the gamepad, to the point of where we easily say that you'd be as competitive out there as anybody else, if given enough time and practice, of course, as it would be with a wheel. Because we understand that, again, even though a steering wheel is your optimum controlling method for a car, most of our audience out there will most likely be sitting on a couch playing with a gamepad, and we do not want them to have a bad experience or even a lesser experience out of the box. We want the out of the box experience to be as enjoyable and as pleasurable and as optimum as possible.
Do you want to jump into the next race,
Yes,
Stephen?
let's do that.
While you were chatting, I noticed a couple of people in the chat mentioning specifically how are the road cars. Like you're just obviously driving the Ferrari LaFerrari, or to use your phrase again, the Ferrari the Ferrari.
That's right.
And I think obviously we're playing at the wheel at the moment. You'll see some gamepad stuff later on, but I think it's a big difference. Like with the road cars in the first game, we're a little bit skittish, I think it's fair to say, and we haven't shied away from saying that already. E3 and other events,
Yes.
and I think we're super proud now of how drivable they are up to the limit and beyond it. And I think the overall difference level you're going to see is just that everything is imminently more drivable than it was in the first game. And
That's
obviously,
right. We're heading into a quick GT3 class race here at the Red Bull Ring National layout, and again just demonstrating that the important thing, of course, a critical thing for us is with Project Cars as a franchise is we focus on simulating each vehicle's unique characteristics, right? We want each car to feel like it would in real life, not like just slightly different understeer, oversteer characteristics, whatever, but the full characteristic of the vehicle. And this is why it's so critical to nail the handling, because it doesn't matter how accurately you get the simulation, if the handling is off, then it's just going to feel like the simulation itself is also off.
We were talking earlier about just how much more grip there is in general. You really feel like you're not second guessing the car anymore. You feel you can really push into apexes. I know you're having some, you've got the challenge of driving and talking at the same time, but I think you can see generally just how much more planted it is. I've never seen somebody drive a GT3 car one-handed before, Stephen, let's put it that way.
Really?
Go for it, I want to see go for the lap time next.
I'm just giving them an opportunity to see if they can really get ahead of me.
Now we want to see you go catch them up.
Yes, let's try this. Oh, that feels good.
One question I've seen in the chat actually, which is not, for instance, from Dino Dan Shadow or Dino Dan Dad Shadow. It's not really a handling question, Stephen, but one you might be able to touch on. He's asking if kind of console-wise, people are going to be leaning more towards PlayStation or Xbox. What's your perception of where the two systems are at the moment? Bearing in mind we've got PS4 Pro now and Scorpio coming down the line.
Yeah, Xbox One X.
Xbox One X, yes. Let's not say Scorpio anymore. It's no longer a Simpsons villain.
We certainly put in all the effort that we could to make sure that each platform experience is optimal. We do not want to put people into a situation where they feel that they have a lesser experience because they're on a different platform. Each platform has its own strengths and weaknesses, and we try to play to the strength of each platform to the best of our ability. And certainly as far as the two key consoles go and the follow-up generation that's coming out now with the Xbox One X is that they're all a great experience. Obviously on the PC you're going to have the thing of where you can always change the fidelity and increase resolution, increase detail level, and on the newer consoles the game will obviously support it to the fullest extent that we have the ability to do that. We know that from statistics in the world market we have certain regions where one console is more popular than the other, and the reverse in other areas. So yeah, it makes it so that we can't really favor a specific platform over another one. We need to make sure that the game is as enjoyable on any of the platforms that the player choose to use.
On the next scenario, Stephen, I'm going to do more talking because I think we need to see you pick up the pace now. I'll answer some questions from the chat and you can, push the cars a little bit
by just restarting this one, but I won't do that.
Okay, you go again in this one. We'll see you push a bit harder,
really?
and
Okay, sure.
I'll talk to the chat a little bit more.
Let's do this. Start that.
Where are we? Let's pick some questions. So someone was asking, Robert Jensen asking if we can kind of emulate an F1 race weekend in the game with the various game settings. You can emulate any kind of race weekend you can think of in this game pretty much. You can set the number of practice sessions, you set how long they are, same for qualifying as well. We're just running a single class race here, but we fully support multi-class racing now, so you can set a race weekend up to have GT3 cars, LMP2 cars, whatever you want, all in the same field. And of course within that will now allow you to track standings and points separately for each class. So if you're the leader in LMP2, it will tell you you're first, not 16th, if there are 15 GT3 cars ahead of you.
That's right. You can actually on the leaderboard here see that it's showing the class-like icons there, and if you're in a multi-class race, you'll be able to track there where you are in each class, where the race drivers are in each class versus where you are in your class. And
that's another question. This is what we want to see now. We want to see you battling with some traffic some more. We just had another question as well from Commando 7 asking if the physics are different to the first game. They are. We've made a lot of improvements, as Stephen was just touching on earlier, to tyre model, to the way the differential works, and you can feel it through the wheel. You'll feel it, of course, through the gamepad as well. It's worth noting that we've made some significant steps towards setting up your force feedback easier. Fewer options to change. We haven't. That doesn't mean you have less variability or less ability to customize the force feedback. It just means the whole thing is simpler. So you're no longer dealing with 10, 15 sliders. You're dealing with 4 basically, and it just means you can get to the level of force feedback you want much easier. It's much easier to set an overall level of force feedback. You'll be doing less tweaking of settings on a car-by-car basis. We literally jumped in today with the default force feedback for this Fanatec wheel. Stephen asked me to turn up some of the settings slightly for him, so we did, and now he's happy. We haven't had to change 10, 15 sliders, we just changed 2 and we've only tweaked them a little bit. So that's a good improvement there as well. Well, Stephen, want to see some passing here?
What do you mean see some passing? I've just passed half the field already.
I was looking down at chat. Keep it moving.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes, somebody asking actually about radio spotters, which is something we've done for this time around. It's particularly something we wanted to do for Rallycross, so I don't know if you can talk about that.
Yeah,
a little bit, Stephen.
so obviously this is something we've spoken about in the past. Rallycross is one of our major new motorsport in the game, and in order to simulate that properly, we need to support the spotter feature. Also, of course, IndyCar, which we hold the official license for, and there we go. That wasn't too bad. So we implemented a spotter feature that works like it does in real life, and as with the assists that you were mentioning earlier, Joe, where you have 3 different levels, you have off, you have authentic, and you have full, we've applied the same to the spotter and as well to the race engineers talking. So you can set it to authentic in the simulation, and then the spotter will only appear in motorsports and events where he would in real life. So you'd find him in Rallycross, you won't find him in GT3. And he'd be out there doing, like there's, it'll be called short right, rear, whatever. It'll do all the stuff that is telling you where your opponents are to help you have a full situational awareness of where you are, where you may have a blind spot. If you like that a lot, you can obviously then turn it to full, the setting, and he'll appear in all the motorsports, so you can then experience him as well in the sports where you typically wouldn't in real life. As with most of our features in the game, we like to give the player the option of what they want to use and where they want to use it. If you don't like that, you can just turn it off.
Anytime, completely. Anywhere is the motto.
Yeah.
And that's across the whole game. So. Let's jump into the next one, Stephen. I'll keep taking questions. The next one is another good one. It's sort of handling related, sort of peripherals related, so I'll give this one a go. Simple question from a great Twitch name, Cheesy Munchies. Will this version be more triple screen, multi-monitor friendly?
Absolutely. So we implemented detailed triple screen support this time around, and you'll have it in the box from day one. So the game will, let me just start this up. I'm actually going to do a Rallycross.
You'll definitely find it difficult to talk during this.
Yeah.
Be seriously sideways.
Yeah, this is a very different style of driving, but just to remind, what's the question?
Triple screens.
Yeah, so with triple screen.
Finish this question before you start rally driving, maybe.
Yes. So yes, we have out of the box support for triple screen where you can set up the various monitors, and we work on things like being able to set bezel width and vertical offset and the work, so that you can have, and of course the user interface accommodating the fact that you're on triple screen. So there's no more distortion or just forced across the 3 layers. They are actually supported as independent viewports, so you have a proper full triple screen support.
Right, I'm going to do some talking because you're going to need to concentrate on this one. Press the big green go button. let's show people some sideways Project Cars 2 action.
So this is of course a very, very different style of driving. You spend a lot of your time going sideways. And this would have been a massive challenge for us to implement if it wasn't for the fact that we got this whole slip curve thing fixed with our tire model, or added to our tire model, so that you can now take the car into a rotation, you can just keep it there and it will just naturally follow through like the real car would do. So you can just take it through easily and just bring it around, and it just works. And it feels natural. I had the good fortune to be out on a real training track doing some of this in real life, and it's incredible how in the simulation you can now do exactly the same thing. You come to a corner, you tap the brakes to do a weight transfer forward, just get some weight on the front wheel so they bite, throw it into rotation, and it just brings it around beautifully. So none of it is canned, it all actually works properly based on real world physics.
There's no setup tricks here, there's no drift mode or anything like that, there's no Rallycross physics mode. This is within the same physics engine, all done through the development of the way the car handles. This specific Rallycross cars obviously handle different to the other cars in the game. And then of course you have the Rallycross tyres. So there are no tricks here, there's no changes to the way the inputs work. This is all through the tyre model and the vehicle modelling that's specific to this type of car. And we're driving the Rallycross Lights car at the moment, so this is kind of your entry-level Rallycross car, and then above this you have some of the stuff you may have seen in previous Project Cars videos, the supercar class with the Honda Civic and some of those kind of things.
And it's great fun. It's just so much fun.
And then the nice thing will be when we get to show this again later in the stream with the controller, and people will just be able to see, they'll just be able to see you doing this with the gamepad. And the fact that it's now possible with both is a big step forward for us, and it's going to be really great to see online lobbies, I think, where we're going to have some controller people keeping up with wheel people, even in the rallycross stuff, so that's going to be really good. Even if the wheel people might not like that, some of the controller people might start to catch them up. I'm going to dig through for some more questions.
Whoa.
Which scenario have we not done? Is there one we haven't?
On the dirt.
Is there a scenario we've not done yet? I think we're missing one.
Yeah, we haven't done an open wheel one. Let's get to.
Yeah, we've got Formula Renault, haven't we? Let's go and do that.
And then see how, because an open wheel, of course, you have far more direct. You have so much downforce that the car is a lot more direct in the way that it handles. Very different from any of the other ones that we've done here.
Had another good question as well. Again, not quite handling related, but another good one. Are we going to see people in the pit lane this time? And the simple answer to that is yes. Where we have motion captured pit stop animations specific to each class of car and type of racing. So your open wheel pit stops
and
are
not
going to...
only that, they're accurate through history. So if you go in an older Formula One car and an older, then they will actually be accurate to that era of history, including how they look and dressed.
Yep. So you'll have people running around in the pit lane. You'll have tyres being changed properly.
They're not running around the pit lane.
Well, no, not running around the pit lane. Out of the garage to the car. They're not. Nobody should be running around the pit lane. Don't go to a real race and run around in the pit lane.
They're running around your car.
Running around your car, and then I think that's just going to be add a level of immersion to it. We have manual pit stops there this time as well. So of course you can drive up to your box yourself. You can deal with the pit limiter yourself. All that good stuff. So.
That's right. If you wanted to play the game in full manual mode, you can actually go set everything to manual. So you can have all the way from your start of your formation lap through the rolling start procedure to your cool down lap, everything manual. You have to drive the car back to the pit like what you would in real life. You would have full control over driving the car into the pit. If you were doing a pit stop during a race, you would need to find your way properly into between the pit crew. And the whole procedure can be fully manual this time around if that's what you want to do.
Someone was also asking earlier in the chat, I can't find the name at the moment. Oh, Stig16, can you get a penalty for crossing the line coming out of the pits?
Yes, you can. In fact, what we do though is, of course, a lot of people out there will not be familiar with these sort of rules and regulations that you find in real... Whoa! See how I can catch that now? Previously that would have been history. So you can, obviously if you wanted to, you can turn off rules and regulations, so there is no white line penalty checking and any of that sort of stuff. But if you play with it on, the first time that you cross the white line on pit exit, it'll warn you. It'll tell you, look, you shouldn't be doing that. There is a severe penalty that can be handed out if you pull that off. And if you do it again, you'll get penalized. It'll tell you you've been penalized for cutting the white line on
like everything else in the game, you can customize that to your heart's content. So if you don't want to race with as hard cold rules on, you can turn some of them off, you can leave them all on. Same with the rules like track cutting and things like that. We'll obviously have them turned on when we're doing esports competitions and that kind of thing, but if you want to turn them off for your offline racing or career mode,
you can also turn down the AI skill, so if you want to talk as much as I do while you're racing, you don't have such a hard time keeping up with him.
So we'll be switching over to the gamepad stuff soon, but keep the questions coming. And we'll make sure Stephen holds the gamepad in shot so you know we're not cheating. We'll definitely be playing on the gamepad. Let me dig through and find some more questions. Someone asking about dedicated server support for multiplayer as well, which is another thing which we will have. You'll be able to, there'll be a Steam tool that you can use to set up your own dedicated server. Either you can do that on the same machine that you're actually playing the game on, or you can have an entirely separate machine if you want to do that, if you're running a league or anything like that. And it does make a big difference, especially in really full lobbies, obviously on PC up to 32 players. So it will improve connection stability, and we already have a feature in the first game actually that will do some of that some of our league organisers have used, and they have seen it's made a big difference. So we're bringing that forward and improving it for the new game. Another question from Stig16. If you hit a barrier, will it ruin your race?
Just before I forget, notice there are no assists on, no traction control, stability control and such, because in the real life this car wouldn't have it.
Which is why you were getting all the way sideways earlier on the throttle when you were getting a bit punchy.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. It's nothing to do with you. It wasn't
why,
to do with you being too aggressive and talking
no
at the same
jet lag,
time.
no nothing. Just purely because.
I'll go back to Stig's question, and he was asking if you hit a barrier, is it going to ruin your race? I guess that all depends on your settings,
Yes,
right?
indeed. Once again, the settings are there and you can have them as you want it. We have, for damage modeling, we have a number of different settings. You can turn it off. So no matter what you do, it won't affect your car. Then you have visual damage. So it will visually bend your car and all that, and I'm not paying attention, I just got the track. You will visually damage the car, but it won't affect how the car handles in any form or fashion. Then you have performance impacting damage. What that means is that your car will suffer realistic damage up just short of the point of where it'll break the car. So you'll always still be able to finish a race, but you will feel the damage. Your suspension will be bent. You may have a wing broken off and it will affect your downforce and so forth. And then you have full damage, which means that if you hit a wall hard enough, it will break your car and it will be race over.
Borneo was asking, do Motec displays return and the ability to change the pages and stuff? That's definitely still in there, right?
It is, yes. Absolutely.
So you turn all the hood off if you're a crazy person, if you want to really immerse yourself.
You can do this and go full telemetry view there, or you can turn it all off and have like a fully clear, only relying on the race engineer and your little Motec on the side, or in this case on the wheel, or you can have the full HUD on. And of course the HUD is fully customizable, far more than what we had in Project Cars 1. You can move everything pixel perfect around where you want it on the screen, cycle through full, minimal and off modes for each one of them, and through that customize the HUD exactly how you want it in 2 different settings as well that you can cycle through. So you have 2 different saved states.
I was playing in with the VR headset on at our event at Spa 24 Hours last week, and turning the hood off and making sure you know where everything is on the steering wheel dash in the Ferrari GT3 car, and just moving your head around, checking your time and all those other bits of information is just really satisfying. And I like the latest comment in the chat, which just says that this is car porn. I couldn't agree with that more. So we're switching it up now. I'm going
to... Shall we go to the gamepad now?
Yeah, let's go to gamepad
Cool,
now. I'll leave our mics on. I'm just going to, while we're switching things out, I'll just go to that screen. And then Stephen, you can change some of your settings. We can't have everybody seeing everything just yet. We're going to have to keep a few things secret for the other streams, so we're going to hide some of the menus for now. I know the WMD guys now are allowed to post their videos online, so people will probably seen some of the menus already, but we're going to try and keep some secrets if we can. Stephen just switches back to the controller. And then, no, don't quit the game, Stephen. let's try and keep going.
And let's go to custom race, and we'll start off with the road car scenario, shall we?
I'll let you load that, and then I'll switch back to the game.
And yeah, cool, here we go. Let's fire this up. And so no settings changed at all except changing it to a gamepad instead of a steering wheel. Everything else is still exactly the same.
Assists are still the same, everything else is all exactly the same.
AI difficulty, all of it's the same.
Yep.
Now, this is not my forte. I'm not typically a gamepad player. I've come through a long history of playing simulation games, and the steering wheel has always been my weapon of choice. But it's great to be able to, go to a gamepad and find that it actually works.
It's going to be really good when we get to Rallycross as well, and you see all that sideways stuff again, but with gamepad that's going to be super satisfying. But Jake Petrolhead actually asked an interesting question, which I mentioned earlier. Our motto is anytime, anywhere. Jake was asking, can you drive Rallycross cars on normal tracks, and can you drive normal cars on Rallycross tracks? The answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So one of our key pillars in the game is, of course, the whole anytime, anywhere approach. We want you to be able to do crazy stuff. If you think that, hey, maybe the greatest thing in life is to take a kart out on Nordschleife in snowy conditions while it's a full blizzard for 900 laps, go for it. It's up to you as the player, and we set the game up so you can enjoy it as you want to.
We have studded tyres, of course, and everything for the snow. So you can go. All the cars have studded tyres, so go and do whatever you want in the ice. We have an ice track. We have just snowy conditions on any circuit you want. So in any car. So if you want to be crazy, I'm sure we'll see some interesting Twitch streams after launch with people experimenting with Formula Ray on ice lakes and all sorts of things. But yeah, you can go do all sorts of crazy stuff like that if you want to. I'm going to go back to a question from...
I just want to comment on
no, go
something
on.
here that I think is an important point. We've learned that you get typically two major types of gamepad players. The one group does fine controls, like you do gentle nudges on the stick.
Or gentle nudges on the opponent.
Yeah, on the opponent. You do gentle nudges on the stick to turn, so you actually hold it at like a few degrees instead of just slamming it to the sides. But then you get other players who like to play it, and I'm going to try to play like that now as well, because I fall into the first category. You get other players who do this. So to turn, they would do this. So the balance that we found with the gamepad is that out of the box you could actually play both styles and it works. But because we understand that people still have personal preferences for how sensitive they like the little sticky to be and all that, we still have all of the configuration options that we had in Project Cars 1. So even though we worked hard to make the out-of-the-box experience far more enjoyable, we still left all the options there for the player to go and customize it to set it even further to exactly how a player may prefer the gamepad to feel.
I must apologise to Robert Jansen. Robert, I'm not ignoring your question. The chat is just
sorry.
The chat is just crazy,
I just
Robert.
had to drop that in.
That's
there
fine,
it's
Stephen.
a
Don't
very
worry.
important point.
The chat is going crazy. I'll get as many questions in as I can. But Robert, your question about mandatory tyre compounds. You can set mandatory pit stops. At the moment, you can't set mandatory tyre compounds like you can in say a Formula 1 race in real life. It's not something we've talked about too much internally, but now that the idea is out there and it's come to us, maybe it's something we can think about. But definitely mandatory pit stops, not necessarily mandatory tyre compounds. Just
you can force that you have to change the tyres, but not necessarily which compound you have to change it to. Not yet, anyway. You should comment on how great I'm doing here with the game. Look at this. I'm like really.
I don't want to make your head any bigger than it already is, Stephen. To be frank,
I'm finding my way through the field here.
Everybody's going crazy in the chat about how great this looks. You're the game director. I don't need to inflate your ego anymore. Right, let me find some more questions.
Everyone.
Where are we? The simple question from Clary Bug: have you got a favourite car?
Well, that depends on what motorsport discipline you're talking about. We have all these great motorsport disciplines, and in each of them, of course, you have a car that just stands out. It's a difficult one to pick, right?
Let's go for something. Let's say we're showing modern stuff today, but what was your favourite classic car that's in the game, B? Let's go more 70s, 80s. I know that's your era, really.
I love the Lotus open wheeler, the 1967, and then of course the one in the 80s. They're amazing cars. They're crazy powerful. The very early ones, of course, have very little aerodynamic downforce. Or aerodynamic grip, mostly just relying on mechanical grip, which there isn't always that much of, so you can do crazy things with those cars. And now that we have the tire model so much improved on as far as how it behaves when you take a car sideways, those cars can be seriously fun to take out there and just go crazy with them. And of course we have all the old tracks as well. Motorsport has been coming a long way, and we've been fans of motorsport we are fans of motorsport throughout the ages. We haven't been fans of motorsport throughout the ages. We're not that old. Some of us are. So we have tracks from going back to yesteryear. And that's an incredible thing for us, because you get to experience racetracks that simply do not exist anymore. And you get to do them in these crazy cool cars. So, pretty special thing.
And again, anytime, anywhere, you can go and drive the modern stuff on the historic tracks, stuff on the modern tracks, all the weather, all that kind of stuff. For me, it's more, I'm just so glad we got to announce Ferrari yesterday. I'm a complete fanboy. So watching you drive the LaFerrari, obviously we had the GT3 car on earlier. That's probably my favourite, the Ferrari GT3. But yeah, I'm one of those people who drive a little bit of everything. But I must admit, I'm also someone who struggles with the classic stuff, I think. I just want to stick my boot in all the time, and you can't get away with that in those cars.
Okay, let's dive into Rallycross next. This is
Gamepad Rallycross, yeah.
Gamepad Rallycross. So, keeping in mind now how different an approach it is to driving a car and how much sideways driving you do. Let's see. Let's see about this.
While you're getting ready as well, someone was asking about flags and that kind of stuff, yellow flags, blue flags, all that good stuff.
Yes, so it's all there, and again, as the game player, you can turn them off if you want to. You can ignore them, but if you wanted to play a detailed simulation with flags enabled, then it's all there. Yes, now I'm going to try to do this, and
You're pointing in the right direction so far.
get it sideways, let it just drag itself through. There we go.
Somebody asking if we're going to have ESL tournaments for Project Cars 2. Yes, we definitely will. You're only going to see our...
How could we not?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But you're going to see our relationship with the esports stuff keep growing over time. We've got some cool ideas for 2018 championships in the works at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't talk about them very much. Hopefully, not too far after Gamescom, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about esports plans for the new game. That was too sideways, Steve.
I don't use the handbrake. Why am I touching the handbrake? It's interesting, in Rallycross you find two key differentiating factors for a lot of players. Some drive, and this is the same for real-wheel drivers, some of them use the handbrake a lot, some of them never touch it. I happened to be in a car once out on the rally track with a guy who had been rallying for 14, 15 years, and I asked him how he approaches the handbrake and when exactly does he use it, and he says if in his whole career he's touched the handbrake 5 times, that's a lot. Then you get other drivers who's on it all the time, like you watch replay videos or onboard footage and they're like just hammering the handbrake. And this was something that we needed to nail as well in game. So whichever style you like to drive, we need to make sure that it works, and it does. So that's great. Handbrake simulation is accurate, so you can actually use it properly in Rallycross as well in Project Cars 2.
I'm going to try and quick fire a few of these questions.
Sure.
There's a few repeat ones coming in that I haven't had a chance to get to yet. Safety car, we don't have safety car, unfortunately.
We don't.
It's something we've talked about a lot.
But yeah, it was just a lot to bite off because we have so many different motorsports, and safety car works so differently in all these different motorsports, and we don't really want to do something unless we're going to be able to do it really well. So it's something that we've just had to say, well, let's hold off on that for next time.
And somebody asking Hydra Effect, asking about bogey laps, so Joker laps in Rallycross. We definitely have those.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you'll get warned by your spotter that you forgot to take a lap and you're like on the second last laps. If you don't take it now, you're going to suffer a penalty.
Let's
it works.
Let's do that one again, Stephen. A couple of people are asking to see some different camera views, so if you can restart that session. One to the right, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I know where restart is. I was just wondering if maybe we should just show a replay. But yeah, let's just do it hands-on.
And then see if you can find the change view button.
Oh, they want me to do it?
Yeah, they wanted to see
this is
a few different camera views.
I don't normally do. I can try this. I am so an onboard player, but I'll try this.
This is cool, actually. If you look, hopefully this will play on the stream. But you can actually see the tire wall flexing in the rear wheels if you look closely enough. Which is one of the reasons we're able to do Rallycross in the first place, because our simulation of the way the tire wall behaves has improved so much that we can now handle all the motion off the jumps and things properly. No problem going sideways at all, as we can see here.
I'm not doing very well with the external view. This is not my style of play.
You span round in the other camera view, you're pointing the right way this time. That's big. Oh, you're going to get commentator's curse now and spin again, I think.
There we go. It's going a bit.
Where are we? Are we going to have UDP?
No, I'm struggling to.
I look down, look back up.
Is it okay if I change back?
Yeah,
so I can see where I'm going.
We had another question from
DCS
Figa or DCS Figa. I'm going to pronounce everybody's name wrong, but there you go. Are we going to have UDP support again for telemetry apps,
yes,
including on console?
Including backward compatibility to the Project Cars 1 protocol. So if you have an app that was developed specifically for Project Cars 1, then you can run it in Project Cars 1 protocol mode, and you'll have full backward compatibility with that. Otherwise, if you want to, you can. If there's an app that supports Project Cars 2 specific new features that we've added to the UDP protocol, then you just switch it to Project Cars 2 mode, and you'll be able to run apps that specifically support Project Cars 2.
I had some questions about oval racing as well. People might have seen in the E3 trailer we had some IndyCar stuff. We'll have a stock car as well. Can't talk too much about stock car at the moment,
Yeah.
but it will be there. We've got 2 or 3 ovals that you can enjoy from that appear in IndyCar and NASCAR, and obviously all the road courses from IndyCar as well that you can expect. So things like Laguna Seca, Watkins Glen, all the places you've seen before, plus Road America coming. Not Road America, Road America was in there before. Plus COTA, Circuit of the Americas coming in, which you would have seen earlier on the stream. So yeah, we're making sure that all bases are covered. Generally, you'll find if there's something you enjoyed in Project Cars 1, that there's more of it in Project Cars 2. There's more touring cars, more GT3 cars, more of everything.
Switching to a different scenario, let's show some more scenarios because we don't have that much time
Yeah,
left.
we've got about 20 minutes left before we're disappearing. So
shall we go to... let's go to the open wheel one. There we go. The ultimate in twitchy steering. Let's see how we
find
do
some
here.
more setting there.
Alrighty.
Yeah, on cue as well. I was just talking about Circuit of the Americas. So this is the short circuit. We have every circuit we have in the game. We have all the variants that are there as well. Where are we? Let's find some more questions. The chat is going too fast for me to keep up with the questions.
Yeah, guys, sorry if we will be missing some questions. We do apologize for that. It's just virtually impossible to catch every single question, especially when we're talking so much. So maybe we should just be quiet.
There was another guy asking actually if we have the PlayStation controller, motion control that we had in the first game. Is that come back? Do you know?
It should be. We certainly didn't do anything specifically to remove support for it. And as far as I'm aware, I haven't tried it myself in a good while, but as far as I'm aware, it is in there and working. Yes, we can verify that, of course.
So again, you can see here Stephen still on the controller, still with the same assist settings that we had when we started.
Yep. As
with the
no
wheel.
assist. So I'm driving here in a very twitchy, high-speed vehicle with no assists on a gamepad, which is not something I had intended to do, but here we go.
We had someone also asking if some of these names I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce there, but I'll certainly read the question. Do we have the traction control light when it's active? Will that flicker?
Yes,
Yeah.
it flickers up on the bottom right. You'll see the little grayed out icons there now. They actually flicker as the various assists engage.
I think I've missed a question that people are asking about. If Fat Matt 70 wants to repeat his question again, I think I've missed your question. Stick that in the chat again. I'll try and grab it in a second. For Robert Jensen, virtual safety car situation is same as the real safety car situation. It's not something we have at the moment. It's something we could potentially look at in the future. But our priority with the new game is to improve everything across the board. And we've added lots of new features, which we'll talk about in all the streams. But some things unfortunately didn't quite make the cut. But that doesn't mean to say that we're saying never. Find some more stuff.
I love this track. Such a nice layout. The elevation changes, just dramatic. And if you get to play this in VR, it is just incredible. Feels almost like you're on a roller coaster that you're driving.
All the new tracks are scanned, of course, as well, which adds to that layer of immersion, particularly as you were talking about with the undulation and the VR and all the rest of it. Particularly in VR, actually, when you really get a sensation of being there, it makes the hill, which is practically a tarmac wall at the start, finish straight here. It just makes it one of the only times actually I can remember being frightened in a racing game is when you start to go up a really steep hill in VR. It's on a scan track in particular. It's a very different kind of experience to what you're used to playing on the TV, like Stephen is at the moment.
Yes.
A couple of people asking about liveries editors. It's not something we have at the moment.
We support custom liveries on the PC in the same way that we have for Project Cars 1, but we don't have a built-in livery editor.
And the classic question of coming up from a few PlayStation fans as well, Stephen, about PSVR. Don't know if there's much you want to say about that.
At this point in time, we're not supporting it at launch. That's really all we can say about it. It won't be supported at launch.
Where are we?
This is enough fun in this.
Yeah, we can move on again. What else have we not shown with gamepad
see
yet?
if we
We're
can-
missing GT3 and gamepad, I think.
Smoke it a bit. Good fun. Light up the tires a bit. Okay.
A couple of people asking about upcoming streams as well. So we'll be on hopefully next Wednesday night. Next Wednesday we're going to be talking. We're going to have our commercial director on the stream. He's going to be talking some more about why we chose the new cars and tracks that we chose. Go through the car and track list a little bit more. Show you a greater variety than we're showing you today. That'll be next Wednesday, and then we'll have another stream the following Thursday before Gamescom as well. Then we'll be at Gamescom. We'll be streaming all the time at Gamescom. We're going to have tournaments running on at the booth the whole time. CXC motion rigs, which are $70,000 seats, which you'll be able to come and experience with motion and all kinds of things when you come down to Gamescom. We're streaming some races from there, as I said, and then we'll probably have another developer live stream after Gamescom, maybe one or two more before launch as well.
Okay, here we go. Now we're in a GT3 pack here. I'm driving a GT3 car with a gamepad in a field of AI driving their cars with a steering wheel. So let's see how
Where else?
I match up.
How many classes in a multi-class race, Stephen? Can you remember? Is it 5?
Yes, 4.
4. Okay, 4. So if you only want World Endurance Championship style stuff, you've got your...
Yeah, we place no limits on the classes that you mix. If you wanted to put like classic Formula 1 on a track with rallycross cars, a few touring cars and endurance prototypes, go for it. It's up to you. You have complete control over which classes those 4 ones are. There's no limits.
So you can do weird stuff, basically, if you want to. You can
Yes.
put that Formula Renault in with the GT3 car. We're not going to stop you doing what you want to do.
Correct.
But equally, of course, you can run the more realistic stuff. You can have your World Endurance Championship style LMP1, LMP2, GTE.
Yes, correct.
You can have your IMSA style LMP2, GTE, GT3. You can do whatever you want to do. Where are we? Driver switching during online races is not something we have at the moment.
Not out of the box now.
Yeah, similar to the safety car thing. It's something that we've certainly been on the list at times during development, and potentially something that might come back, but it's not going to be on the disc when you buy it in September. And will we ever add livery editors to PlayStation 4? Probably. It's a tricky one with livery editors. We do support the custom liveries in PC. Will it come to PlayStation? Not that likely with Project Cars 2. It is again something we could look at in patches, but it's more likely to be something we do in the next game when we can really dedicate some time to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And online players, so same numbers of online players that you had previously, 16 on console, 32 on 64-bit PCs. But the nice thing we're doing this time, so you can keep your player numbers up, especially if you're organising leagues, is spectators, directors and broadcasters, which we'll talk about a little bit more in another stream. They don't take player slots anymore, so anybody who's watching your race doesn't take a player slot away from your race. So you can always have 16 players on console, you can always have 32 on PC. No, anybody watching on spectator or through broadcaster or director, they don't take up any space anymore. In terms of clarity about which tracks have been laser scanned and which tracks haven't, basically in addition to the tracks that were scanned in the first game, all the new circuits have been scanned.
Yes,
so
and we're doing a rollback as well, so where possible older tracks that we've had before
That's
that
true,
weren't laser
yeah.
scanned, we're updating them. The Nordschleife, for example, that we've
Yep.
had in the first one is now fully laser scanned.
Yep, and we use a new scanning technique which we haven't actually spoken much about in public recently of late, but for the rallycross circuits we use a drone scanning technique, because the rallycross circuits, if you go and visit them in real life, every time you visit them the surface is totally different because of the gravel being dragged around all over the place by the cars. So laser scanning with the rallycross tracks doesn't work, but we have a new drone scanning technique which we might talk about in more detail on another stream down the line, which essentially means all the new tracks are scanned and the rallycross tracks are scanned, but they use a different new technique that we've developed.
That's right, Joe. We actually apply a whole, like you get thousands of photos from the drone flying over and taking it at a slight angle, so the camera is slightly angled, like at 70 degrees, and then it takes like 1,000 of photos, and then those are stitched back together in a process called photogrammetry, where it recreates a fully accurate 3D model of the whole environment, as well as the texture detail, of course, that we require. So you get a very, very accurate recreation of the location. Cool. Shall we go?
We've got 10 minutes, so kind of just drive whatever is your favourite so far, I think.
Let's go back to the road cars. And especially so because they were, you know, often panned in Project Cars 1 for being not that drivable. So.
Yeah, as we were saying, for any latecomers, we've been talking a lot on the stream about improvements to physics and handling, and road cars specifically, but the cars across the board, everything is eminently more. There's just a greater feel there, much more consistency, much easier to drive, but with the level of simulation improved. So we haven't dumbed anything down to make the game easier, like Stephen right now is playing with the controller. The level of simulation is higher, but the translation to whichever controller you're using, be it a high-end wheel or a cheaper wheel or a controller, it's just more intuitive across the board, and you'll have a lot less kind of weird spinning moments, that kind of stuff. In fact, you won't have them at all. So we're super pleased with that, and we're looking forward to more people getting hands-on at Gamescom and experiencing that for themselves, because everyone who plays this game notices immediately how much different it is to Project Cars 1 and how much improved it is. So the more people that we can get to go hands-on with it, the better. So if you're in Germany, definitely try and come to Gamescom. We'll be at some UK events that we'll announce down the line as well, so, and other events all over the world. So there'll be plenty of chances for you to experience what Stephen's playing now for yourself. Good question from Centenary Man. Is the AI more fallible? Are we going to see mistakes and accidents by the AI that aren't necessarily caused by the player?
Yeah, it's more realistic. So this time, far more than before, mistakes will come out of the same cause as it would do for a player, which typically happens when you start having your tires wear down or you have a mechanical issue with your car. They also have a fatigue factor, so they'll get tired in endurance races and make more mistakes later on in the race. So we've been pushing really hard to get our AI far more human-like, and I'm sure if you guys have been paying attention to how the AI drive, you would have noticed the significant improvements over Project Cars 1. For one thing, they don't drive to thinking that the first corner is where you win the race. I understand, if you will, that you need to finish the race in order to win. Right? To finish first, you have to first finish, as the old saying goes. And the AI drive with that sort of mindset. So you will see less silly mistakes than what they had in Project Cars 1, so you will see less often them screwing up, but it will be, when it does happen, it will be realistic.
I'm going to answer the most important question now that's been asked all day by Actual Vision, who's one of our commentators on our esports races and one of our top Twitch streamers. He's going to be at Gamescom. He says, who's getting the beers in at Gamescom? I think seeing who's getting the beers in at Gamescom, says Actual Vision. I think seeing as he asked the question, I'm going to make him get the beers in.
That sounds like a great idea.
I don't think you asked that question. You don't ask that question in advance, Luke. What else have we got here? A few people asking about DLC plans. It's not something we're going to be talking about pre-launch beyond the packs that you can already see that are pre-order bonuses that you'll find on PlayStation Store, or on Xbox Store, and on Steam. You can see those listed there already.
We're not going to talk about content detail and all that, but what we can guarantee is that, as with Project Cars 1, we certainly have full intent to support the project well beyond release.
One person did ask if the packs are going to have themes and be a little bit more themed than they were in the first game. They will be.
Yes.
You can also expect more stuff in each pack than you had with Project Cars 1 as well. So post-launch we'll be talking about that stuff more, but we're super excited to start talking about that, because we're just now starting to wrap up the game and get ready for release. The vehicle team is now starting to work on all the post-launch cars, and yeah, you're going to see some cool stuff, I can say that much.
Look at that, I'm up to third on the gamepad. Awesome. Now of course I'm going to overcook something and get overexcited here and mess it up. Talk too much.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, so I think we'll get you to finish this one, Stephen, and then we'll maybe see what the chat has.
See how he was leaving me space there? That's something that would not have happened before. But with our AI being so much more realistic now, he was actually leaving me space there instead of just nudging me and taking the risk of spinning himself out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we're going to have time, I think, for one more of the gameplay scenarios. So if you guys have a favourite, do you want to see GT3 again? Do you want to see Rallycross again, or Formula Renault again after this? Let me know in the chat. and then we'll get over to that. A couple of people asking if we can see online menus. Not today, but we're going to be one of our streams later in the summer is going to be completely about the online mode, so you'll get to see a bunch of that stuff.
Good exit, good exit. Yes, I got him. Got a good exit there. I'm up to second.
Second place is the first loser, Stephen.
I know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Catch it, bring it back. Oh, and he immediately leapt on me there. He nearly took the position back. Here we go. Got it. Held it together.
More people are going to need to say whether they want GT3 or Rally next, because the vote is super even at the moment.
Alrighty. Let's get out of here. Oops.
I think people are leaning towards GT3. I think we've only shown GT3 twice as well. I think we've done the Rallycross thing like 4 times, so maybe we should.
Okay.
And everybody, fan favourite the GT3 cars, and we get to see more Ferrari. So, yeah, GT3 says the chat. So I think they want GT3.
Really? I think? I don't know. Okay, let's go GT3. Here we go.
Yeah, so everybody who's asking for us to show other tracks and other cars, you definitely want to come back to the stream next Wednesday when I'll be here again with, hopefully I'll actually get to do some driving next week as well. Because
we don't want to jump around too much in every individual stream, so we've preset some scenarios that we use for each of the streams. So make sure you do not miss any of the other streams and you'll see a lot more content.
So next week we're going to be looking specifically at going through some of the cars and tracks and taking requests from chat and talking a little bit about the licensing process, why we chose which cars we chose, which tracks we chose. So next week on Wednesday night, similar time to this, maybe 7 p.m. UK time, that's when you want to be on to get your car and track requests in. And if I'm there doing the driving, you'll be able to laugh at me, and hopefully not, hopefully I'll drive okay. But it's the worst thing sitting here being the stream host is having to sit here and watch Stephen do all the driving. I'd rather be in the seat. Make Stephen do all the talking.
Is that referring to my driving or to the fact that I'm the one driving?
No, that you're the one driving. It's not besmirching your driving at all. It's just, for me sitting here watching the game, I imagine it's the same for everybody at home. They just want to be you. They want to be in the seat doing the driving. So yeah, next week, get your car and track requests now. Get them in your mind. Get them ready to dump into the chat for next week's Twitch stream on Wednesday night. And we'll definitely be trying to. It might be Thursday night actually. I'll have to double check, but we'll be announcing all of that on social media anyway. But get your ideas ready for which cars and tracks you want us to show next week, because we'll be showing a lot more stuff and we'll have a lot more freedom to bounce around as well. People saying we should invite Actual Vision to drive.
Do what?
People saying we should invite Actual Vision, one of our esports commentators, to drive. We might be able to get Luke on a stream before launch. I'd like to have Luke come down and do some driving. Yeah, before lunch is a bit late. But yeah, I'd like to get Luke down to come and do some driving, so maybe we can arrange that nearer to the game coming out. So that's his stream army doing their peer pressuring into getting me to invite him. But yeah, it would be cool to get Luke down to come and do some driving. But again, you can just see, we've actually ended up doing most of this stream on the controller, and you can see Stephen, apart from your one little spin when you were talking too much in the Rallycross car, you hold it up for the camera. You can see how intuitive this is. He's not flying off the road. I'm sure many of you who played Project Cars 1 remember how tricky it was, but obviously you're seeing there's none of that here. Yorkie Pud, we are definitely banning Luke's pink shirt. I'm not letting him into this building if he turns up in that pink shirt. And if he turns up for that shirt to do commentary at Gamescom, I'm making him take it topless. I would rather he was topless than wear that pink shirt. It's not happening.
Nice. Whoa, overcooked that corner. But I managed to catch it.
So we're about to cross the line on the final lap. I think we're going to call it there for this week.
I'm last. I'm talking too much.
Get your questions ready for next time, guys. Again, get your ideas for car and track combos ready that you want to see on the next stream. We'll be taking some suggestions from the chat when we get around to next week. And then, yeah, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch, of course. Follow us on, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, all at Project Cars Game. And of course the game is coming out September 22nd this year on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, all on the same day. So yeah, if you like what you saw today, obviously get your pre-orders in, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.